Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Brandon,
Jerry.
and we run two agencies, Wallaroo Media and Arvo Digital, specialize in scaling e-commerce brands. And what this show is about, it's sort of like a Last Week Tonight by John Oliver type show. So we just take what we've seen over the last week from Twitter, LinkedIn, the news, etc., and we're just recapping some of the most important or interesting things that we've seen over the last week for you in this quick show, which you can watch on social, YouTube, listen to the podcast version, whatever. So that's what this show is. And so yeah, let's just dive into some of the most interesting news. So one thing that we saw is retail e-commerce sales right now are projected to hit 1.72 trillion in 2027. So in a few years, 1.72 trillion, which would be 20% of overall retail sales. Obviously 1.72 trillion is a massive number. And leading the way, we've got food and bev and personal care are both the fastest growing categories within e-commerce, both up about 20% year over year. So anyway, pretty crazy growth.
Why do you think food and bev is like such on the rise along with the personal care? Do you think that that's like in the culture where people are more invested into like food and beverages? Is it in the personal care? Do you think that it's pushed by brands like, Liquid Death or something that kind of made it popular to be trendy in that space?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I think it's just there's a lot new sexy brands. You have Liquid Death, you have like Olipop, you have a lot of Olipop type competitors, and a lot of money, VC money, has been pouring into that industry lately. So I think that's largely driving that. And maybe on the personal care side, honestly, it's probably just so many celebrities that are like launching brands that are around personal care, skincare, hair care, all that kind of stuff. So that'd be my guess on why those two are growing the fastest right now.
Who are some of the celebs? Is it like Gwyneth Paltrow? Or does she have some weird thing where she's like drinking bone broth?
Yeah, she probably.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean the Jenners,
some of the
or
celebrities.
the Kardashians,
Okay.
they've got
Yeah.
stuff like Jessica Alba's Honest Company. That's a little older, but that one's still out there. Yeah, there's a lot. There's one interesting piece. Another one that we saw, people talking about over the last week is just Google and Meta and how, as ad platforms, the AI and the machine learning that they're building in to the more media buying side of it, the ad deliverability side of the ad campaigns, it just keeps improving, and it's improving faster than ever. And they're also just beating, Pinterest and Snap's improvements that they're trying to make as well. So a topic of discussion has been, what is media buying's importance now versus a year or 5 years ago, and where is it going? And then B, sort of, related to that is on the creative side, like what needs to be done and how can brands stand out? So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it's no question. AI is like taking everything over. That's why you have politicians like running on whole platforms of AI being dangerous. And I think it's kind of interesting that with media buying, it seems like agencies and media buyers, even though AI has been getting better and better, those people keep demanding more and more pay, and agencies keep charging more and more. And maybe it is that they're taking more of the approach, kind of like we are, where we've become more of growth and creative strategists and executioners than like the button pushers in the day-to-day with the media buying platforms. But I think it can be an opportunity, and it's like they were saying even a little bit ago with iOS 14, I think that it separates the good marketers from the great marketers, really.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, I definitely think creative is the biggest lever that a brand can pull to scale their ad spend and to grow their company. That kind of goes into our next thing, which is we've seen people talk more about agencies or freelancers or even just UGC type creators charging a percent of ad spend on the creative production side, which hasn't really ever been a thing. other than some outliers until very recently. And honestly, I bet that's gonna grow, because I look back at, like, at Wallaroo, we probably started doing ad buying on Facebook in like 2014, so 9 years, but maybe more consistently like in 2016. And back then it was just so much about how we structure all the campaigns and all that kind of stuff, and way less about the creative. And now, whether it's Performance Max on Google or just doing more broad targeting and stuff on Meta, at least for our clients, we just go super, super hard on the creative side. So we haven't tested it yet, to be honest, like charging clients a % of ad spend on creative, but I would like to, because if we, especially in the scenarios where we're only hired for creative, if we create a video or even a static image that they're putting 20% of their ad spend budget into our single piece of creative, instead of just getting paid whatever $2K one time for that, it'd be nicer to have a little bit more of that upside. So
yeah, that is kind of interesting, because I feel like creative used to always be charged like for a set of deliverables. It's like, we're paying you for 10 ads.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I see it from like the brand side. I'd be like, well, what if you make me one really good evergreen ad, and I just put all my money behind that forever, and then you don't have to make me new. I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about it, but I do think there could be pitfalls with that approach.
Yeah.
Also, with like all the AI, how do you, all of your creative would have to be in one campaign, right?
Yeah.
Because if not, like, the machine kind of determines where the spend goes with the creative.
You'd probably, if you were charging a % of ad spend, you'd probably want to, like, in the contract, guarantee at least a minimum amount of ad spend on your piece of creative to give it the chance it would need to succeed.
You also see like people talking about ugly ads. I think being hot.
Yeah.
That's what I think your Twitter handle is.
Yeah.
Talks about making ugly ads, and so it's that would be another thing that would be kind of interesting. It's like, maybe you don't spend a lot of time doing the creative, but it like performs really well. And gets a lot of spend.
Yeah, the creative as a percentage of ad spend thing. One of the people we saw was Cody from Jones Road Beauty bring that up, and then Zach from Homestead was talking about it too. So, and then a bunch of people in the replies. Anyway, we'll see where that goes. Quick pause. Today's show is brought to you by Rogue. This is my home gym, actually, and we've got Rogue as the sponsor. Just kidding, they're not the sponsor, but we'd love to have them sponsor. And Jerry lost the debate that we just had, apparently, which is why he had to do some curls. So, Rogue,
I forgot that was a punishment. I was just
that's
trying to get a pump. Okay.
Rogue, if you need some marketing help, please hit us up. Yeah, on those lines, one of Rogue's competitors is Sorinex, and sometimes we use this piece of software that we have access to called Particle, which is awesome. Not sponsored there, but what they do is they can give you really deep data insights on like product sales and velocity of competitors or whatever. So I used them to do a deep dive on Sorinex, which I shared on Twitter/X yesterday or the other day. But one thing that was interesting about Sorinex, who is one of Rogue's competitors, I happened to choose Rogue for what I did here, but Sorinex is an awesome choice. They've been around since 1980, and so I used the tool to find their best-selling products and all that. They've done some great collaborations with Jocko, and who wrote the book Extreme Ownership, and he's a very popular thought leader, and he has a supplements company as well. And then the Knees Over Toes guy, who's pretty popular. So Sorinex has done product collaborations with them. But the interesting thing I saw in doing the Twitter/X thread was they don't do any ads right now at all. They pretty much don't even do landing pages. They just have regular product pages. And their organic marketing, other than Instagram, is pretty bare, and yet they still continue to grow according to all the data that we could find, which I really think speaks to the power of just the products that they create, and the overall brand that they've been building over these last 43 years since they were founded. I think that e-commerce, and any founder really, but especially in e-commerce, I think that founders and marketers, advertisers, what they can take away from that is the product, like that's the key, right? Like I think so many brands just try to scale via ads or hope that TikToks go viral or whatever. Not enough are truly leaning into the quality of their products as the core value of how they should be growing their brand. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think product is going to be one of, if not the most important. But my question would be like, what's the next part of that equation? Because Sorinex, like they've been around for whatever, math, 40 plus years. So let's say it's a new brand launching that for whatever reason, they're like, we don't want to run ads at all. They have a great product. Like, do you think that's even possible, or what would be kind of the next stages of that? Like, do they have to do influencer marketing, which is kind of like a form of ads?
Yeah.
Or like what would have to happen next for a brand that's launching who, you know, they're like, we don't want to run ads. We don't want to give Zuckerberg or Elon or, you know, Sergey any money.
Yeah.
What do they do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I was actually on a call today with a brand and they just turned off all their ads like 2 months ago, every single ad. So they've been running any ad spend for 2 months. And
can you say like what category they're in?
They're in personal care.
Okay.
And partially because the ads weren't profitable. They're not a client of ours.
Of course.
Yeah. But partially though also because they wanted to just focus on improving their product while also getting like a baseline. Like what is their baseline revenue from their own channels of like email and SMS, and what is the true repeat purchase rate of their core customers and not just ones that they're just pumping ad money into acquiring. And so now they have that data, they have that baseline, they know what their repeat purchase rate is currently, which is pretty high. And so now they're thinking, and they're not even doing retargeting ads. But going back to directly answering your question, yeah, if you have a great product and no one knows about it, well, it doesn't really matter. So you still got to get it out there. But I think that, yes, you can do it with ads. That's generally going to be the most expensive way. You could do lots of product seeding with creators. You could go hard on organic social. Obviously, that can be a long game too. So there's other ways. But I think the combo of just scaling via ad spend and nothing else, especially because we know that ad costs just gradually increase every quarter, is not a sustainable one.
I'm trying to think if there are any brands that have launched and haven't really leaned into ads and
Yeah, if they're
still
not
see
like,
a lot of success.
I don't know. I mean, if they're not celebrity backed, it's definitely harder. But I could see brands like, honestly, I don't know what Liquid Death did early on. They maybe didn't really do many ads though, and their just core marketing was so cool and unique, and their brand was such a new.
They showed up on every video podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah. Lastly, we wanted to talk about Alex Hormozi, who is very big in the sales space and is an influencer himself. But he just had a new book come out, and so he did a launch around his new book that he's selling called $100 Million Leads. And why don't you break down a little bit about what he did leading up to that launch, which I thought was very interesting, and there's things that, you know, e-commerce brands could apply to product launches from him.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to Brandon's earlier point that, you know, maybe if you're an influencer, like celebrity, you can launch a brand without the ads. And I think that, you know, I'll talk more specifically about the $100 million leads, but ahead of that, like, he's just built such a huge personal brand, and, you know, people like him, people trust him, he's jacked, he's good looking, you know, all that stuff. One of the things is he like really involved his community in the whole process. So leading up to this, he, you know, got people pumped on it. He even made them feel like involved in what was important to them and what they wanted to talk about, and what problems he could maybe resolve for them. So he hyped up this community. He also was selling them on, hey, I'm going to be giving something at this live session that you'll only get if you sign up for it. So leaving some of that mystery making people want more. And then beyond that, the affiliates, right?
Yeah, he had like 23,000 affiliates sending traffic and stuff to his live stream and the signups and all that, which that's insane.
Yeah, and there's like a quote, I'd have to pull up the exact quote, but it was something like, losers are going to hate affiliates, but winners love affiliates. So that kind of opened my eyes, because I think that a lot of brands aren't doing affiliate marketing, but it seems like a lot could definitely benefit from it. And, it's something that we push a little bit more. So yeah, anyways, he got 500,000 people into this one live session. And then he started doing his presentation, which I thought this part was way funny. It was a huge troll. Maybe you could talk about how he trolled everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of times when people sort of like him do these live streams, you're assuming that they're going to pitch a course at the end and kind of leave you at like a cliffhanger. But his live stream, which I watched, was about 2 hours long, and it was an insane amount of value the entire time, just during the live stream, where he gives snippets of his upcoming book and stuff. And then at the end of the live stream, he shared a URL where it had like 9 different resources, all for free. It wasn't like trying to hype everyone up to then you have to go buy the book or to sign up for a course, right? He was hyping everyone up, and then he just gave so much more value for free, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, and I think the troll kind of drove some attention, because people in the chat were going crazy. Like, is he really going to sell something? Like, did he sell himself out like all these other guys? And I actually wasn't on the stream, but it made me want to jump into the stream to be like, okay, what's going on? Like, everyone's freaking out and hating on Hormozi. But anyways, that did happen. He dropped the course and he sold it out he didn't drop the course, sorry. He dropped all the free stuff, and then his only ask was to buy his new book, $100 million Leads, and I think it sold out in like 24 hours.
Yeah, it was well done. And like I mentioned, I think e-commerce brands can lean into some of that, because a lot of times when you have a new product that you're launching, you're assuming that an ad campaign built around that, and an email blast or two, and a text blast, and a few social media posts, like that's your launch. But I think involving your community beforehand would be huge. Trying to get your community hyped and turned into affiliates, like use one of many Shopify apps or even affiliate programs to try to get them to become affiliates, and so they can be your boots on the ground, building up hype themselves for the new product that you're going to come out with. Do live streaming. Like, why wouldn't you do a live stream for the whole day when your new product launches? I know GOAT, the sneaker app, last Black Friday week, they did the 24/7 live stream the whole week and just set massive records for sales. So doing stuff like that, I just think that there are things we could take from Hormozi and apply them to e-commerce, and I think it would be very beneficial. So we're definitely going to want to start testing that kind of stuff for our clients.
And then one of the components I didn't mention was that he had 500,000 people in the stream, but he said he only had 150,000 hard copies of his book. And you see brands in the D2C space like Last Crumb that do that really well. Like, they only drop cookies every so often. They have a huge list, and you just know, like, if I don't get in there quickly, I'm not going to get the freaking product. And I think when brands drop new products, granted, it's nice to like sell as many as possible, but if you add that scarcity tactic to things, it makes it that much easier to sell through it quickly, and you can even have a more, maybe even a higher like introductory price.
Yeah, I like that. Last note, this is a 45, so it's not like it's not light, it's not too heavy, but just wanted to let everybody know what we're working with here. So on that note,
I saw Chris Cuomo on Patrick Bet David's podcast curl a 60.
Okay, we said we
think he could curl a 60?
We're not getting political on this show, so
not political, but that did happen.
I could do 60.